Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Fitness Athlete Podcast. We're happy to have you here today. My name is Alan. I'll be your host today, and we are joined by Jenna Spenlau, one of our wonderful teaching assistants in our Fitness Athlete division. Jenna has been teaching with us for 4 years now, started in our live course in 2022, and then back in the fall of 2025 with our Level 1 online course. She has been working for Onward Physical Therapy at Onward Charlotte since 2021 and recently moved to Phoenix to open her own Onward in 2024 with her co-owner, Josh Slesk, who, just an aside, if you don't follow Josh on social media, I know this episode is about Jenna, but if you don't follow Josh on social media, a great follow. He's a big endurance guy, and a lot of his content, he does video gait analysis of like toddlers and cartoon characters and stuff, and it's always hilarious. So shout out to him. I don't even know if he'll listen to this, but a great follow. So we've asked Jenna here today. She recently finished working at the CrossFit Games last month on the medical staff, helping take care of the Games athletes with the rest of the Onward team. So we asked Jenna here today to kind of talk about her journey into CrossFit coaching, teaching, and then also what it looked like to begin to get involved with CrossFit itself, working different semifinals and CrossFit Games events over the year. So Jenna, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit. We were just chatting. You have been doing CrossFit for how many years?
9 years. I started right after my first semester of PT school. So I was the
Okay.
token CrossFitter in my PT class.
Okay. Just the one.
Just the one.
I'm trying to think. I'm not aware. I wasn't really aware of CrossFit when I was in school. I started at the beginning of 2018, so not too long after you. If someone was doing CrossFit in my class, I wasn't aware of it. What made you start? Were you doing something similar before? Were you in college athletics? What made you decide to pick up CrossFit?
Actually, I was a tech at a clinic when I was in undergrad to get my observation hours. That was my part-time job during school. And one of
Okay.
the um, one of the PTs there actually would leave on her lunch break and go do CrossFit and come back and talk about it all the
Cool.
time. And I was like, oh man, like
As
I want to
CrossFitters
do
do.
that. Yeah, like yeah. So I was like, man, I want to do that. That sounds so fun. But I think when I was in undergrad, I just was not prioritizing that kind of stuff, like financially or even time wise. Um, and so yeah, as soon as I got to Ohio State for grad school, I think I was a semester in to PT school, and I was like, man, the campus gyms here are really busy, and the undergrads aren't even on campus yet. I was like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, well, there is a CrossFit gym right down the street. And I went in for like my first elements class, and at the end of it, I signed up for a full year. I was so bought in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's interesting to think of you going to an elements class because I think of you as a pretty fit athlete. So it's funny to think of you walking into an introduction class. Was
Right.
that first class at CrossFit Grandview?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay,
With
cool.
Joey Tortora, who is Colton Merton's coach. And I actually got to see him at the games a couple weekends ago. So it was really cool.
Came full circle.
Yeah.
Truly a small world. Shout out to CrossFit Grandview. If you're in the Columbus area, what a beautiful gym. So much equipment, so many different offerings. And then our good friends down at Affiliate PT operate out of that gym as well. So Mandy and Maddie and Pat and the whole gang down there at CrossFit Grandview. Okay, so started in 2017, kept going. What made you decide to move from Arizona to work at Onward Charlotte 5-ish years ago now?
Okay. So if we backpedal a little bit, I
Sure.
learned about ice through Maddie and Mandy, actually.
Okay.
So that's how I got involved more with, I guess, like taking ice courses. So I was one of their students on a clinical rotation. And so we saw people like at Grandview, which I thought was cool. And I was like, man, I want to do this one day. And I, after graduation, moved to Arizona. Um, my first, I think within like a couple months of being graduated, I took fitness athlete with Zach. And then I took lumbar and cervical and older adult all within like 6 months. And so I had met Zach and Jordan. And so I had just been keeping in contact with them. And they're like, hey, would you want to move to Charlotte? And I was like, haha, very funny. And they're like, no, seriously, we need to hire somebody. And I was like, oh man, like, yeah, absolutely. And they're like, do you want to think about it? And I'm like, no, not at all. I'm on my way. So yeah, that was like one of the coolest things ever, just getting to be mentored by them for like 2 to 3 years.
I'm noticing something about you. When you like something, it seems like you go all the way in. Bought a year of
Yeah, oh yeah.
CrossFit, a bunch of physio courses, moved across the country on a whim
Yeah, 3 times.
3 times. Okay, so working at Onward Charlotte, beginning to help us out in the fitness athlete division in the live course with Zach and Mitch. And then tell me about the transition back to Arizona to start Onward Phoenix.
Yeah. I think it was like a year before I left, Zach looked at me and he was like, what do you want to do long term? And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, I can just kind of tell. I don't think Charlotte's your forever home, but like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, I'm not going to lie. I haven't really thought about that. But you're right. Like, I don't really love Charlotte as like my forever home, but I can't imagine being like working as a physical therapist outside of the Onward community just because I loved it so much. And so I was like, I don't really know then. I was like, do I just go like work for another Onward? Or he's like, well, if you're going to start from scratch, like, why don't you just open one? And that had not even crossed my mind. But I feel like I respect both Zach and Jordan so much, and I got so much from working with them for my time there that I was like, oh man, if he thinks that I can do this, then like, yeah, I think I can too then. Um, and so, yeah, they had actually already signed Josh on to work or to open up a Phoenix location. And I'm not going to lie, when I heard that like months prior, I was pretty bummed because I was like, I really loved Arizona. So I was like, well, like maybe I could move somewhere like Colorado or Utah or I don't know. And then conveniently, I think Josh reached out to me and was like, hey, I'd really like to have a business partner. And I remember you saying that you loved living in Arizona. So, like, do you want to come open an Onward in Arizona with me? And it was like the stars aligning because he didn't even know that I had that conversation and was thinking about like leaving soon. So it was it really like truly felt like it was like meant to be, and the timing just ended up like all working out perfectly. So I was like, yeah, okay, let me get my ducks in a row. I think I gave my patients like a 3 month 4 month notice or so, um, so I could make sure everybody got taken care of and they were able to hire again at Charlotte and everything. Yeah, and then made my way back out west.
So starting Onward Phoenix, for those who don't know Onward Physical Therapy, it's the largest group of auto network cash based clinics in the country, with I would say an emphasis on the fitness athlete, but not exclusively fitness athletes. And if you don't follow any of their individual clinic social medias, you all are really well known for a lot of community stuff. It feels like my social media is basically all of you that work for Onward doing different workshops for different people, pelvic, fitness athlete, running, etc., across the country. So tell us a little bit about your specialty in treating the fitness athlete and what that looked like starting in Onward, bringing that specialty, and what kind of the community outreach looked like for you all as you're getting started, and maybe how it has transformed since then.
Yeah. So I feel like when I first moved to, I mean, I had coached when I was in Charlotte, I coached for 3 years while I was there at a CrossFit gym. And I missed that, but I also knew moving to Phoenix that like I could coach, but I probably wouldn't be able to do that forever either, just with all of the requirements of opening up the business and everything. And I really wanted to make sure that was super successful. So instead of starting with coaching, I just joined a CrossFit gym and just integrated myself in the community. And that alone like helped me grow my caseload just by becoming friends with people and being a part of the community. So attending the like in-house competitions and also like even birthday parties and stuff for people. So like really truly becoming part of the community. And then as we wanted to get involved in the community a little bit more from the actual like physical therapy side, then we have started like I belong to two different gyms and we try to do workshops, injury screens, all of those types of things specifically for the CrossFit Open. We'll be there at Friday Night Lights every single week. We actually just got asked to work a competition at one of my gyms that's in like February. And I was like, okay, sure, we'll be there. Um, and then Josh doing a little bit less CrossFit, but more of some other types of like gym settings. Like he will go host running workshops and everything. And especially around High Rocks season, we'll we'll do a ton of like running workshops, especially even for CrossFit gyms, because there's a lot of CrossFitters now getting into High Rocks. And for that, the difference is definitely like it's a lot of running. The the station part is not difficult for a CrossFitter to jump into High Rocks. It's the running volume. Um, so he actually saw like a wild amount of stress fractures and stress reactions like last winter leading up to the High Rocks that was in Phoenix. So we had three different marathons and three different High Rockses in like 3 months that were all like within driving distance of
Wow.
Phoenix area. So there was a lot of volume being had. And then we rolled right into the CrossFit Open from that. So winter here is so busy with events. So we're just at every single thing. High Rock simulation, we have a table popped up. Like we're trying to get our name and our bodies at every single kind of event or community outreach thing we can.
I I love that. I love a lot of what you said too. The first thing you started with is maybe the most profound in that you just started by going to the gyms. I think we, if you've taken one of our courses, our fitness athlete courses, in a polite way, we beat people over the head that the best way to get involved in those communities is to go join those communities. And yet we hear from people on a regular basis, hey, I took your course 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, haven't seen many or maybe even one single person from the local CrossFit gym. And our question is always, how long have you been going to class there? And almost always the answer is, oh, I've never been. And the expectation that those folks from a really tight knit community will just come find you somehow, obviously doesn't pan out. And being there in class, even if you're not a coach, goes a long way. And then I also appreciate, if I'm not mistaken, you all don't charge for any of those community events, right? All of the workshops, all of the event coverage is all free. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. We actually, for the first time, we had somebody who wanted us to come to a High Rock sim, and they actually were like, it's going to be like $250 for you to have the table there. And I was like, oh, weird. We usually just like do it for free. But I was like, okay, well, we'll make it work because we wanted to be there. So we knew there was a big gap in like kind of like physical therapy coverage at that gym or whatnot. So we were like, well, we're gonna make it work at least this first time and kind of see. So yeah, everything is free. Ideally, we try to gain some clients or at least some some trust within that community there and bring some awareness around like, oh no, this thing you're dealing with, like that doesn't, you don't have to be training through that. And yeah, the race or competition or the open is a couple weeks to go away, but we can work on these things. And even from a performance perspective too, like, oh, are you really want to get a bar muscle up in the open this year? Fingers crossed that it shows up type of thing. Maybe here are we can look at either technique or mobility or something that might be limiting you there.
You said something really important just now is that there's not a lot of physical therapy coverage in high rocks right now. And that's going to bring us to our last point, which is describing your experience working with the CrossFit medical team at semifinals and CrossFit Games events. What's interesting is 1 million people this year will do a high rocks. That it's very, very popular. It only seems to be getting more popular. And yet, when you go to those events, you don't see the medical coverage to the athletes the way that we saw it on TV and on social media with you all at the CrossFit Games. So I'd love for you to discuss what the process looks like to get started with that. And then maybe if you can take us through what your day looks like as far as once you're at a semifinals event or the games from start to finish, what does the day in the life of a medical staff member look like?
Yeah. So every single event is going to be a little bit different because a lot of them are run by different organizations. So when I began, Syndicate was my first like high level event, and it was a semifinal that year. I just found out on Instagram through another PT that I knew, and she's also very involved in the ice community. So shout out Megan Weezer. She was the
You know, Wheezy.
recovery, yeah. So she was the recovery lead for Syndicate that year, and she had posted on Instagram like, "Hey, looking for some PTs that want to come work this event." And it being in Knoxville, I was driving distance. I had just moved to Charlotte like 6, 8 months prior or something like that. And I was like, sure, I'll come. That sounds fun. Like, I love CrossFit. Like, involve me. So I went that, and that year it was a lot of just people from the area. There were a lot of volunteers there who knew nothing about CrossFit. A lot of PTs there trying to help somebody with shoulder pain and their next event is re-muscle ups, and they're like, no clue what that is. So that was a very unique experience. I also, when I signed up, I shot it over to Taylor, who owns Onward Knoxville. Hadn't met him before, just Instagram DM'd him and like was like, "Hey, I'm gonna volunteer at this event. I know you're local. Do you want to come?" And so he's like, "Sure, I'll sign up too." So we had me, him, and I believe Jesse Witherington um, come up from Tennessee too, and we all volunteered at Syndicate that year. And then going forward from that, every year since, really, I believe Taylor has been the lead of the recovery staff since he's boots on the ground in Knoxville. And so that's just been a great relationship. So a lot of the people who work at Syndicate now are from Onwards, but not everybody. We have a chiro come, we have a massage therapist. So the team is a nice diverse group. So with that, like we're technically recovery, which is more of like a subset of medical. So there were a couple times where they needed some more bodies, and we would go out on the floor and be one of the medical people out on the floor. But I'm like, please nothing happen at this time. I'll wipe off the sweat and the blood and everything, but please nothing happen.
This man needs emergency surgery. Uh-oh.
Um,
I don't have any training.
but yeah, the working with them like throughout the venue is really cool though, because the medical room is usually really close to where we have our recovery set up. So when an athlete gets pulled off the floor or comes out after an event and they clearly had just hurt something, they'll bring one of us back into the medical room typically to help evaluate them. And then outside of them like needing an image or having something like that, they'll usually just kind of liaison them to us so we can treat them and help them continue to be able to compete that weekend. So that's how we interact with medical for a lot of it. Um, and I guess going through that, so like that's how Syndicate mainly runs. Games was a little bit different for us, um, because Onward was actually like a partner sponsor for that. So it was a bunch of us from Onward that were working that, but very similarly, like you have athletes that are coming back strictly for recovery work. You have people coming in who are like, "Hey, I've been dealing with this shoulder or this back thing for the last like couple months," or even we had some people who were like, "Hey, I tweaked my shoulder about 4 weeks ago and I haven't touched a barbell yet." And they have
Yeah.
to heavy deadlift tomorrow. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, we're just going to send it." um, so you have that. And then you have the injuries that happen there that you're kind of working with medical to see if they can continue to compete throughout the week. Um, but yeah, I feel like like I said, every event's a little bit different to get involved in just because they're run a little differently. But for the most part, like as a physical therapist, you could either join the medical team, which is a lot of firefighter, paramedic, EMTs, athletic trainers, and then they'll have some like ortho docs, maybe some nurses, like those types of things on staff. Anybody with a medical background of some sort can apply to be on medical. And then some events will have specifically a recovery staff, which is sometimes physical therapists, chiros, massage therapists, just a little bit different everywhere you go. I was at Wadapalooza, SoCal, the first year they did that. And the recovery team was mainly massage therapists. And then there was me and I think one other PT and one chiro.
With that from the athlete perspective, when there is recovery available in those situations, are they allowed to come see you whenever and how much they want? Or are they restricted to, you only get 30 minutes a day or you have to sign up in advance or something like that?
For Syndicate and Games, it was unlimited. The amount of athletes is smaller with it being elite only competition. Things like Wadapalooza and whatnot are where there's 1,000 athletes because there's a community division that I think is structured very differently. Like when I was at SoCal that year, the community athletes were able to sign up for 3 20-minute sessions per day. And I was like, boom, 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 like 12 hours straight of just 20-minute sessions. Um, and I will say those people were mainly like, "Ooh, I get something for free for once," because I'm a community athlete. Like typically community athletes don't get anything for free. So it was like, "Oh, this is great. I get like a free massage type of thing." Whereas like I really wanted to help people who were more like injured or like
Yeah.
dealing with something.
Who truly
Um,
needed you?
yeah, and
Yeah.
and so Syndicate and Games, it's much less volume of total athletes, with it just being the certain like individuals and then the teams. And so, I mean, we had a staff of 16 PTs at the games, and I mean, we were pretty busy the whole time.
Is it similar? Are you expected? Are you given a shift? Are you expected to just be there all day? How does that kind of staffing work
I feel like every event we do, we kind of figure it out a little bit better,
as
especially
events go?
especially just like I said, every single event is going to be a little bit different too. It helps when you have a lot of the same people coming back. So we had a lot of our Onward people from Syndicate come back to the games, and that's kind of like who we selected to be on the squad for the games, which helped a lot because they just knew when an athlete walks up, it's not a, "All right, you haven't seen anyone yet, so you go to this person" type of thing. It's somebody jump up and take care of that athlete right away. We don't need them standing there like, "What do I do?" So that's definitely really helpful. So we had 15 of us, and I would say most days we would start treating about an hour before competition starts. So a lot of the days that was like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. And then we usually are on site until about 30 minutes to an hour after the last heat ends. So anywhere between 7 and 9 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, is there any room in that schedule for you all to sneak away and watch an event?
We try. And we try to just kind of like do like a nice little honor system of like if you're hungry, you've been working on a lot of people, like just take a look around, like do we have a wait? Is every table full? Look at the event schedule too. Like teams are already done for the day and most of them have come back for treatment. Like they're probably all back at their hotels now. So if it's just the individuals going and women are going, men are warming up right now, we're probably good. So you can sneak away for a couple minutes or something like that. Go to Vendor Village, go try to eat some food, something, pop out for maybe a heat.
So not a lot of time for horsing around. You're there to work.
No, not really. They were definitely really long days. We actually got a TV back in the warm up area for the our recovery spot was right next to the warm up area, and that's how it is a lot of the times at events. Um, And so we had a TV and we figured out how to we had somebody pay for the Flow Elite membership so we could stream the games and we had it back there and it was actually really cool because the athletes would come off after their heat and all their stuff is back in the warm up area. They knew we had that TV on. And so they would come back right from like getting kind of like brought out and come and sit on our tables. And I'd be like, do you want treatment or do you just want to watch? And sometimes they'd be like, oh, I just want to see this next heat. Because like sometimes they'd be like, I have the time to beat. And so they're watching like, is this guy going to get me? So it was really
I
cool
love
to
that.
like actually like watch with them too, because I think you see both sides of it sometimes. Like sometimes the athletes are like, I don't want to know maybe where I am at the leaderboard. Like I don't check the leaderboard. But most of them like to watch the events if they can. Like they want to see how people do it afterwards, or even just hearing them kind of chit chat with some of the other athletes about like, oh man, he's gonna crush this event. Like it was just a really cool experience to just be watching the games with the games athletes.
Do you think that's something you would or would want to do every year?
Yeah. I
Okay.
already was like, I was like, oh man, I wish they would just tell me the dates so I can just put it in my calendar. I want to make sure I don't have anything else pop up.
Well, we've learned a little bit about your personality type already that you go all in on stuff,
Yeah.
so that tracks. Jenna, as we wrap up, I would love for you to speak to, I don't want to give you a number of things, but if I'm sitting here, I'm listening to this episode, I want to get more involved in this. I want to see these athletes in my clinic. I want to serve them in my community, and maybe I want to come do this on the regional or the national level. What is a thing or what are a couple things that you would say? You kind of mentioned that in the past there have been some people on the medical staff who really didn't understand CrossFit or the demands that the athletes were expected. So in that regard, what are some things that people should have dialed in before they maybe potentially reach out to somebody like Taylor and ask to come help support an event or do a local event in their community?
Yeah. So whether, I mean, it's CrossFit or something more like High Rocks or whatnot, I mean, we're speaking more CrossFit specifically here, but like one, you have to be doing the thing. So like, I mean, I wanted to treat CrossFitters because I love doing CrossFit. So I feel like you have to love doing the thing yourself too, especially to connect with the athletes and everything. So if you're not yet involved in CrossFit or just beginning, like keep up with that and getting in your community and getting dialed in yourself as an athlete. Um, and then I would say, I mean, between getting your level one and doing some coaching, if that's something that interests you, honestly, just taking the level one is a good experience anyway to even know what some of your coaches and training has been as well. Obviously, taking our fitness athlete courses, especially the live one where you're really like hands on with some more of the coaching and movement analysis and everything, because some of that stuff is literally what you could possibly be doing, not even just with your athletes in the clinic, but even at like the games level of like looking at some of their movement. Um, and then, I mean, just staying in touch with all of those things. And I mean, if you're doing a lot of those things already and you want to be involved in these events, it's more so just about knowing when the applications are opening up to like slide your name in there. So, I mean, I connect with a lot of people from the medical team and can figure out really easily like which events are having a recovery team, a medical team, like just one team type of thing. So, I mean, you can always shoot me a message too if there's an event you really want to do. Um, yeah, like reaching out to one of us who have been involved in either semifinals, games, any of those type of events. Like we're happy to chat with you about kind of what you can do to kind of be a part of the team.
Awesome. And for those listening, what I'll do is I'll put Jenna's information, her email address, and her social media information, and the same for Taylor Comford, who Jenna mentioned, from Onward Knoxville, who helps a lot in facilitating this. I'll put their email addresses and their social media information in the show notes. So if you're listening right now to the podcast, you can go into the show notes and reach out to either Jenna and or Taylor if you think you might be interested in this. Awesome. It was so cool to see you all on social media at the games, working with all of the athletes. Cool to see that Onward provided all of the recovery services. Our friends over at iDry Needle sent dry needles, and then Ice Physio provided all the dry needling stem units. And just from what I've seen in the past and the lack thereof of care at other similar events that are not CrossFit affiliated, it really looked like you all delivered an additional level of service that hasn't been seen at the games yet. So that was super cool to see.
Yeah, thank you. We'll be at WFP end of month too.
Okay, so that's World Fitness Project.
Yeah.
For those not in the know, where's that at?
Indianapolis.
Oh, well, nothing cool there but the World Fitness Project. So you don't have to worry about sneaking away for sightseeing in Indianapolis. Trust me.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Jenna. Thank you so much for your time. And again, Jenna's information, Taylor's information will be in the show note if you want to reach out to them and get started with this process.
Great. Thank you.